What's up, gamers? Papa Jump Love here. We're at Games IRL. We're popping off at the shop with Gandalf here. Many of you remember him from the commentary and every video. What's up? So Gandalf's gonna give us the deck profile for his Big Fire deck today for WotC-20. So take it away.
Thank you, Jesse. This is usually referred to as Big Fire from the Neo Block era. That is my understanding from Ruby Retro's video, at least. I always thought Big Fire was Blaine's Arcanine with a Typhlosion engine, but historically maybe that's not as accurate. But regardless, fire decks in this format are few and far between. And if you want to zoom on that, this is the big hitter in the deck. Blaine's Arcanine, 90 HP on a stage 1's pretty good. Heat Tackle for a fire energy and 2 colorless is also pretty good at 40. You can use metal to get rid of the recoil, still knock out babies, but the big attack is Firestorm for 4. Does 120, which knocks out anything in the format shy of something like Chansey with metal on it, but if you deal that much to a Chansey, it's not going to be able to swing back either, so effectively knocks out anything in the format, which makes it very fun. It's a big kind of cannon kind of deck, so that's really what you're trying to do, is get off a few Firestorms. You don't even need to do 6 to win the game, and then you're usually fine. I pair that with Blaine's Growlithe. There's actually 3 Blaine's Growlithe. I've tried splashing different ones, but this one is just always feels like the best one. It's got 60 HP, which is huge as a basic, in company with things like Jigglypuff, which is also pretty meta. And it has 2 good attacks. Stoke lets you ramp fire energy if it's stuck inactive. It only has a retreat cost of 1, and 20 for paralysis on Body Slam is a good / reasonable response to something like Mr. Mime. So Growlithe in its own right, not the worst thing to lead off with. And then we get into the engine. So we have 4 Neo Genesis Typhlosions. This is what really makes the deck tick. You can go super aggressive. Throwing your energy into the bin is not a big deal. With Fire Recharge, you can roll a die once per turn. And if it's a heads, you can attach the fire energy from your bin to one of your fire Pokemon. So that includes the entire Blaine's line and also the Typhlosion line. Typhlosion, not the worst attacker, but you're really not looking to attack with it. You're looking to get set up, and then you're hopefully looking to just keep firing off Arcanine as often as possible. Even with middling flips, you can be ready to Firestorm every couple of turns if needed. And it could be a gust liability, but with Fire Recharge, you can always get energy on it to retreat it if you need to. I run that at a 4/4/4 line, just because that is how important it is to the deck. Obviously, going wide on the bench can be difficult. I do like the Neo Genesis Cyndaquil and Quilava. Quilava has that weird char attack, which has never really come up in practice, but in theory, I like it as an option to deal with weird things. It's kind of the first time they tried to implement burn in Smokescreen. I do think is really the main reason I prefer the 70 HP Quilava. Smokescreen for 20 can make it hard to hit. And Cyndaquil too, it can hit 30 off a quick attack for babies. Fireworks for 1 attach and 20 is not that bad. I've donked with it before. It's serviceable, right? So everything here can attack if need be. And then I run just a single Magby. This deck would obviously have trouble with Mime, as I mentioned before. Retreating with Blaine's Arcanine kind of stinks. 3 retreat costs is tough. And then Firestorm, discarding 3 for that attack is also kind of tough. But if you can loop it with your Typhlosions and you can get a Magby in just for a single sputter, you can shut off a lot of ability decks, and you can usually work around your fire recharges at the same time. So it's a free retreater, which this deck does not have many of. It does run the 4 of Cleffa, of course, from Neo Genesis. Format defining. You know it. We won't spend too much time on Cleffa, but I liked the extra baby in there with Magby. I've also tried this with Elekid, just to grieve some water types, but Magby feels like the proper meta play. The trainer base is definitely a little unique. We've got 4 elms, and a lot of decks will go with Oak or Copycat. This is one of the few decks I have that'll really lean into the full elm line. Being able to shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 7 really allows you to get out these Quilavas and Typhlosions at a good pace so you don't fall too far behind. They also have a best of printing, and just for the flavor of the deck, Elm is holding a Cyndaquil, so you gotta run 4. It can get awkward when you can't play more trainers for the turn, but I don't want to Oak things away. And Copycat is fine, but I find that Elm is just a little more fluid because you can play something like Blaine and then Elm into your double attach for turn with Blaine. And just to even out those Elms, we have 4 traders. You're running so many different mons, you want to find them in the right order. You want your stage 1, then your stage 2, so running 4 trader really smooths that over. And then, as we talked about before, because you don't mind throwing some energy in the bin, maybe you don't even mind throwing some of the Typhlosion line in the bin. This is one of few decks that can use Misty's Wrath and feel good about it. It's a fun card, very turbo-y. It does allow the deck to pop if you need it to, so it doesn't always feel slow. And then when you're firing off 120 a turn with Arcanine, why not have 3 Gust? If you're looking at something that is meta-defining like Gengar, getting down to 3 prizes against that, maybe you want 3 Gusts to pick off the bench with Firestorms to really close out a game. Can't go wrong with 3. I've tried it at 2. 3 just feels that much better when your opponent knows that nothing is safe from getting 120 dealt to it. And we talked about it comboing already with Elm, but Blaine, it's just a good card. Double attach for turn allows you to really surprise people sometimes. Maybe they're looking at the board, maybe they don't think you can get a Firestorm off for next turn, and then you can drop a Blaine, and you do. And also, like I said, the way it combos with Elm feels very unique and fun to the deck, so I like the combo. I'm going to keep it around. Consider that also similar with 2 gold berries. When you're dealing recoil with Heat Tackle, maybe you want to heal up. 90 HP is big enough that Arcanine can benefit from gold berry, unlike a lot of stage 1s. And you know, sometimes you only need to survive 1 more turn to get off a final Firestorm to really cripple your opponent's board. And then it's a 1 of Fan Club, 1 of Townby. You can make the argument that you want 2 Fan Club, but I'd rather go with 4 Elm, 4 Trader. It just feels a little more consistent. And to that point, we've got 2 metal, just 2. That'll help out. If you attach them to a Cleffa, it's not the worst thing. Baby survivability is always nice. You can always attach them to Arcanine for that Heat Tackle if you don't want to chip away at your own health if someone's baby stalling. It just gives you a few more options, and there's room in the deck for it. And then, of course, we've got 14 fire energy, tons of energy. Just going to try to fan them as generously as possible, but 14 might sound kind of low or high depending on your deck building opinions, but from playtesting, it feels very comfortable. It allows enough Firestorms without feeling like your hand is just, you know, clogged with energy instead of Mon lines. Like we were saying, we're fitting a lot of 4/4/4/4s in there. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for the deck. It usually does pretty well. No one else has really been bringing the Arcanine line, but as we know, historically, it was very, very good in Neo Block. So trying it in WotC-20 has been very fun, and that's the deck.
Great. Thanks for sharing. We'll catch you next time.